I'm 14 years old, the best babysitter in my town. Tonight, I wasn't ready for what I was about to experience. The mom and dad of the kid I'm babysitting won't answer their phone. They're a couple minutes away at a wedding, and you will not believe this story as it unfolds. Let's get right into it. When I was 14, 20 years ago, I've been babysitting around my small town for 2 years. I had a great reputation with my regulars and would routinely stay until the early hours of the morning, when the parents needed a night out. I would normally charge $15 an hour, but that would jump up to $20 after midnight. There was a wedding to be held in town, which meant people would be traveling to attend. I was recommended to babysit by a trusted family friend. I've never met these parents before. Bit of a backstory. At the time, there was a big outbreak of meningococcal. There had been cases of it from where these parents were traveling from, and as a kid who was interested in stuff like this, I'd read up all about it and knew the symptoms. The night of the wedding came, and I arrived at the hotel to meet the parents. The baby is 1, and I thought it would be an easy night because I normally have 3 or 4 kids to look after. It was a really hot summer night, and the baby was just in a nappy. The mother mentioned he was teething and might be a little whiny, but nothing I couldn't handle. About an hour after they left, around 2 p.m., the baby woke up and was screaming. He was hot. I mean, so hot to the touch that I pulled my hands back when I went to pick him up. I tried to calm him and cool him, but to no avail. Any food or drink I tried to get him, he vomited straight up. He was constantly soiling his nappy with a steady stream of diarrhea. At 4 p.m., when I knew the ceremony was over, I called the mother to tell her about her very sick child. This wasn't just teething, woman. His temperature was soaring, and he did not even leave any ibuprofen or anything to help with. She sighed into the phone and told me she'd be there in 20 minutes. Where the reception was, it was a 2-minute walk back to the hotel. After waiting 2 hours and the baby not getting any better, I rang again and was ignored 3 times. By this stage, it had cooled down outside, so I took the baby for a little walk along the veranda, just to try to distract him. However, I'd locked myself out when I went to go back. The baby vomits again and did a massive shart at the same time that dripped out from the nappy. So, at this stage, I was covered in vomit and shit, locked out, no phone, and with a screaming baby. I had to walk through reception at the hotel, which happened to be attached to the restaurant. So those dining got a good eyeful and smell to go with dinner. The lady at the front desk let me back in the room, and I tried to ring the phone again. The mother finally answered, and I said, "Your baby is terribly sick. He's hot, vomiting, and seemed like he had a rash that started to develop, which is a dead giveaway from meningococcal." She sighed again, and they had just started dinner and would be straight back after that. And please don't call again. Another 2 hours later, around 9:30, I rang my mother, and she came to help out and bring me a change of clothes. We finally got the baby down at about 11. I called one last time, said that I had my mother with me and I would be leaving at 12, after I called an ambulance for their obviously seriously sick child. Well, the mother ended up coming at 11:45, drunk as hell, and very upset that I ruined her night. She could not enjoy herself because she kept worrying that I was going to call. She cussed me out about the smell in the room and how many nappies and bottles I've gone through. My mom stood there and let me handle it, but spoke up and said if I could get paid now because we needed to go home. The mother handed me an envelope and shut the door in my face. $20. That's what was in the envelope. I was owed $150. Mom knew we would not get her to answer the door again, so she took me home. The next morning, Mom woke me up with the extra $130. She's gone to the hotel at 7 a.m., and once she told the manager what happened, the manager slipped a note under the hotel door, saying that due to the extra cleaning and disinfecting that would need to be done in the room, there was an extra charge of $200 put on the room. plus the extra $130 that our in-house sitter was owed. When everyone looks after you in such a small town, it's a nice feeling. Apparently, that father blew up when the extra charges were put on his card. Didn't realize the baby was so sick and was swearing at his hungover wife. The mother was screaming about the unsatisfactory babysitting I did, and they left in a huff. I think about the poor baby every now and again, hoping that he was alright and got out whatever was making him sick. I was in a small panic for about a week, waiting to get sick too, but thankfully, by some miracle, I didn't. This story was incredibly rough. I'm not going to say OP didn't do a good job, but I will say I don't completely agree with how OP and her mother handled this. What I mean by that? Sure, she did a good job babysitting the sick kid and kept her okay till her mom got there, but they should have called an ambulance or the police and let the police handle the mother. It's obvious that the mom just wanted to have some fun and did not care about the well-being of her own child. I want to read a comment from the original post that OP actually replied to, so let's check it out. Comment says, "That's just harsh. The entitled mother knew the baby was suffering and rather have fun instead of checking her own baby." And this is when OP replies and said, "As a mother myself now, I wouldn't dream of leaving my kids with a teenager that I've never met before, especially when they were so sick. The family friend that recommended me was very apologetic and offered more money. She didn't know though, and she's a sweet lady. She got me in with a family with 3 kids a little while later, whose father was a barista. I definitely was never shortchanged with them, almost paid double." Okay guys, so it kind of worked out for OP in the long run. Let me know what you think of this story and how you would have handled the situation if you were there babysitting the sick kid. The final story I have for you today is titled, "Boomer Tries to Steal My Baby." Subscribe to the channel if you're new here guys, and let's check out today's final story. I'm a 20-year-old female with a 3-month-old son. We took our son to the park for the first time. They have swings good for little babies, so we had him in there. He absolutely loved it, by the way. There was an older lady there with 3 kids, I'm assuming her grandchildren, because, well, they were pretty young, and she seemed my grandma's age. She was eyeing us up since the moment we got there. My fiancé is a smoker, and he's not allowed to anywhere near the baby while smoking. So, he went to the baseball fields to sit and smoke. This is a decent ways away. Even though this is a very, very small town, I did not know the woman as we did not live in the town that we're currently at. We live in the biggest town in that county, but apparently, the county's park did not have swings, even though it's huge. But I was very familiar with this town as I lived here for many years when I was younger. So he was fine with leaving us alone, just not familiar enough to know the people anymore. My step-grandparents also lived here, so I felt comfortable. After my fiancé had went over to the ballpark, this lady approached me and began talking to me. She asked me how I like babysitting. I laughed and told her I wasn't babysitting, that this was my son. This set her off. She grabbed a hold of my wrist and told me don't lie to her, that I'm too young for this to be my son and she doesn't believe me. She told me if I did not produce valid forms of identity for both of us, she would call the police for kidnapping. So here's the issue with that. I don't carry my wallet on me often, and the only forms of identification I have for my son is his insurance card, as his birth certificate and social security card have not come in yet due to everything being bogged down from the virus. I told the lady that, and she turned to her group and my risk, stating that that's a lie because they give you documents at the hospital. No they don't. It was escalated to the point where she shoves me down and tries to grab my son, stating that she will be keeping a hold of him until the cops arrived. I quickly got up and grabbed my son from her. I didn't punch her, but I did sort of palm her nose like a boop. which I guess I did harder than I meant to, and she started bleeding. She yelled at me that she was going to press charges for assault. My fiancé was making his way back during this time and caught the tail end of the confrontation. Skipping ahead now to when the cops show up. They're talking to each of us, but the old lady won't stop screeching, so they take her further away to talk. I'm in complete fight mode and terrified. I'm frantically explaining that I don't have ID, but this is my son. We just came here to the park to play. If there was any way I could prove I was the mother of my son, I showed him a photo of him getting pulled from my C-section on my chest a few hours later. Obviously, he looks different now, but you can tell it's the same baby. We were allowed to go home, and we were told we'd be hearing from someone about the assault and charges against the woman. I'm aware there's some context missing. I just really don't have the time to sit down and write everything. So if there's any questions, I'll try to answer the best of my ability. Okay guys, Mr. Reddito here. I did find a complete update for this story. I hope you guys are enjoying so far. If you are, make sure you press that like button as it helps me out so much. Okay, here's the update for the story. We set up an appointment with a lawyer for this Monday, and we'll be going to the police station later today. We called ahead and made an appointment for 3. It's noon currently, and someone had mentioned seeing if the park had cameras. I was pretty sure they didn't, as it's a very small area. But I called anyways, and turns out they did. They agreed to send a copy of the footage to me, but they only have a couple, so I'm not sure if what happened was caught on tape, as the cameras are near the pavilion and the swings are off to the side. I'd also like to add that I did not expect this to blow up so much, and would like to thank everyone for their kind words and support. I know I should have reacted better, but I was in such shock and it happened so fast. I feel very guilty for not protecting my son, and I'd appreciate if the comments about me doing a shit job would just stop. Okay, so here's the news. We went to a lawyer on Monday who instructed us not to really talk about the case going forward. But there'll be charges pressed against the woman and possibly against the police involved, as what they did during the situation was apparently very illegal. Hopefully, this will move quickly and I can have an update soon. If not, I'll try to remember the update when everything's done. Okay guys, Mr. Reddito here one last time. I found the 3rd update. It's only 1 sentence long, but guys, I'll just tell you right now, I did not see this coming. Here we go. So, the cameras did not pick up anything. I got charged with assault, and the charges against the old lady were dropped. We're going to try to appeal, but I'm screwed. I honestly think the worst news of this entire story was the final update that said OP actually got charged for assault, and this crazy lady got away with everything. The scary part of this situation is, I was reading other stories, and it's pretty common that some old innocent looking lady could have tried to kidnap her kid. They didn't know anything of the situation or anything like that. It's just so unfortunate that this lady never learned a lesson for putting her hands on someone else's kid. Let me know what you think of the final update when OP got charged. How do you feel about it? Drop your thoughts down below. I love reading them. That's all the content I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. As usual, Mr. Reddito will be here tomorrow, and it's cool to be kind.